I just rubbed moldings with them. There'd be absolutely no damage. He says, I can't give you your license. He says, you deserve your license. So he says, come back in 2 weeks. So I came back in 2 weeks. I started the car up, and he's writing. I says, ready to go. He just hands me my license. I says, I don't need to see you drive again. Legally.
That was nice.
There we go.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular council meeting for Monday, February the 9th. We do have a committee of adjustment meeting in addition to our regular council agenda, so I'll call the committee of adjustment meeting to order first at 6:30. Tonight's committee of adjustment meeting is a public meeting being held under section 45 of the Planning Act, and it is to consider a minor variance application. The application, which is A26-01, is for the property located at 201 Wellington Street in the town of Shelburne. And the purpose of the application is to permit an accessory building to be located closer to the front lot line than the principal building on the lot. I will now ask the clerk for the method of notice for tonight's meeting.
Notice of tonight's public meeting was advertised in the media sources. Property owners in a 60-meter radius have received.
So we'll receive a presentation from Steve Weaver, our town planner. Steve will provide a summary of written comments received. Following that, there will be an opportunity for committee members as well as any members of the public to ask questions or provide comments that they have. And the committee will consider the application. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair Mills and members of the committee. So we do have two representatives for the applicant, for the property owner, Stella Jones, here as well. Heath Bertel Sharp is with Groundswell Urban Planners, and Nick Romero is with MTE Engineering. Is more familiar with engineering design of the proposed treatment system. Should you have any questions of technical nature, they can provide additional information, but I do have a few slides to go through just to give a basic overview of the request. So as noted by Chair Mills, the application is for 201 Wellington Street. And on the next slide, you can see the location. This is a fairly large property east of the Highland Village subdivision, which you can see in the left-hand side of the slide, and then more of the downtown area and the residential areas on the other side of the Victoria Street or to the east. To the north are a couple of existing homes, as well as a vacant commercial property immediately to the north. You can see in the existing property there's one main building right along the east edge, closer to the former rail line, and as a result of the location of that building, everything north of that building is considered the front yard. One of the requirements of the zoning bylaw is that in general, on a typical rectangular lot, the main building should be what you see, and then anything that's accessory to that, storage buildings and utility buildings and so forth, should be behind that, or at least no closer to the front lot line. Because of the irregular shape of this property and the location of the stormwater management pond, there is a need to locate some accessory buildings in front of the main building, but in a location where they really still won't be very visible from the highway. You can see the stormwater management on the northerly one is the kind of green-blue color in the kind of the jut out of the property in the northwest corner. The air photo is from just prior to the completion of the distribution center, which is located in the south part of the property, closer to Victoria Street. There is a secondary stormwater management facility in that part of the property as well. Property functions all as one large processing distribution facility for lumber products. Go to the next slide. This is a lot of line work, but highlighted in the yellow cloud is the location of the proposed 90 square meter accessory building, which is a modular building. It's a prefab treatment system that will come in structures that look like shipping containers and are essentially repurposed shipping containers that are then joined together to contain all of the treatment systems and filters. The reason for the need for it is, the treatment processes in the main building actually use, and recirculate some of the stormwater that is in the stormwater retention pond. That water in that pond is all runoff from the site, is all natural drainage. But, in order to save on some of the clean water usage, some of the industrial process water is drawn out of that pond. Because of the nature of the use of the site and the treatment processes that occur there, one of the concerns with the runoff from the lumberyard is potential for contamination. So, in consultation with the Ministry of Environment, the owners have identified the need to install a more enhanced treatment system, which would go right beside the existing pump house, which is just to the south of the proposed treatment shipping container system. So that pump house is about the same size, and it again draws the water out of the pond, and this would treat that water. Other than that, there are really no other significant elements to the treatment system itself. There is some underground infrastructure that will go with it, but nothing that you really see above ground. It obviously needs to be located next to the pond in order to serve its purpose for the enhanced treatment. We did ask some questions about noise and whether there'd be any concern with that regard. But as we know, the Highland Village subdivision is already well protected from noise with those tall acoustic fences that were built along the east and north boundaries of the subdivision. So this is over 100 meters away from even the noise wall, and won't generate any noise beyond what the pump station already generates, which is pretty minor. And if you go to the next slide, just a little bit more of a zoomed in view. Again, the reason for the variance is not because there's anything special or unique about the pump station itself. It's just to allow, or the treatment system itself, it's just to allow it to be closer to that north boundary of the property than the main building. And although the building would be closer than the main building, it's still 92 meters back from the limit of Highway 89. So still set back quite a ways. There is a tree line between the building and the property to the north, right on the back edge of that vacant commercial property. So that will screen the view of these shipping containers as well. Go to the next slide. There are a few things that we want to be very specific about with this application. In 2021, there was a similar application for the pump house itself, and we attached conditions to that. In anticipation that there could be further buildings, and we wanted to ensure each request is dealt with on its own merits, and that there isn't just a blanket relief to allow any accessory building in front of the main building. So the last application in 2021 was approved. It allowed that pump house to be located again right next to where this treatment system will be located. This is essentially the same request. It's just this time it's for the treatment system itself rather than the pump house. Again, a very small building, minimal visual impact, no noise concerns, and pretty generous setbacks from the nearest lot lines, as you can see summarized in the first condition. So that condition is really recommended to ensure that this is, again, specific to that treatment system and isn't applicable to, blanket any buildings that may be constructed in the future. Those would have to come back if there are any more buildings or structures in front of the main building proposed in the future. Again, that the function of that building as well is in connection with the industry on the site, the wood treatment facility, and that it's to treat water in the stormwater pond. If there was a future change in use of the property, the expectation is that that variance would no longer apply, and that treatment system would then have to be removed. And the accessory buildings would have to stay on the same property as the main distribution center and the facility. They can't be separately severed with a consent, and of course a building permit will be required as well. So we circulated the application to all the required agencies and gave notice of the public meeting. As of now, we haven't received any objections either from agencies or from the public, but we are here to receive public comments if there are any, as well as any comments or questions from the committee. So on that note, I'll pause there and happy to try and answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Any questions from the committee?
It's just small, even though that there's a tree line to sort of mask the shipping containers are gonna be in good condition. Right,
Right, yeah, not,
because I know they're repurposed, like, you
Yeah.
wanna make sure that they're like.
it's a
nicely
modular
painted.
building system, so it is like, there's a used system that's coming, it's a
Okay,
good system, so.
you know, like it just, you know, they can
And everything.
rusty and whatever, it's like, just because you can't quite see it, doesn't mean it shouldn't still look great. Alright, thank you.
With these second stormwater pump, or any expectation eventually that we may have to do the same with that pond?
That hasn't been flagged at all, that one does receive runoff just from that distribution center area of the site, so less of the kind of legacy runoff in the older part of the site. So there haven't been any water quality issues identified with that pond so far.
Anybody else?
No, the report was pretty thorough.
Any questions or comments from the public? Okay. All right, so as always, the committee has essentially three options at this point. We can approve the application based upon the conditions that Steve has outlined. We can refuse it or we can defer it. Okay, so Member Gashardi will move to approve, I'm assuming. Yeah, and moved or seconded by Sample. Okay. All right, so the resolution reads, after considering the application, the committee is satisfied that the request is minor in nature, desirable for the appropriate and continued use of the subject property, and maintains the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw and official plan. The application is approved subject to the following conditions. Number one, that the relief from zoning bylaw number 38-2007 is only for the following, and that is relief from section 3.2.2 to permit an accessory building to be located closer to the front lot line than any principal building on the lot, only for the proposed treatment plant building having a maximum gross floor area of 90 meters squared and a building height of 2.9 meters. Number two, that the accessory building shall be used only for the purposes of treating water from the stormwater retention pond on the lot in conjunction with the existing industrial use on the lot. Number three, that the accessory building shall not be severed from the lot containing the principal building and the existing industrial use on the lot. Number four, that the accessory building shall be located in accordance with the following lot line setbacks. First, setback from the front lot line, 92 meters, as Steve said, or 5.5 meters from the nearest interior lot line, 60 meters from the nearest rear lot line, 123 meters from the interior west side lot line, and 14 meters from the interior east side lot line. And finally, number five, that the owner shall obtain a building permit for the proposed building. Any discussion on that before I call the question? All in favor? That's carried. All right, that's it, Steve?
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. So just a motion to adjourn Committee of Adjustment. Moved by Member Fegan, seconded by Vice Chair Hall. All in favor? It's carried. Do you need a minute, Alice, to go over? Normally forget, give you some time.
Doing it for 8 minutes. Oh, I'm finding people that think I remember it's been 6 years. Well, they're in the car.
Good. Okay, so we'll call our regular council meeting to order at 6:44. And as we always do, we will play the national anthem. So that stand if you're able. We would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the town of Shelburne resides within the traditional territory and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, including the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, Chippewa, and the people of the Three Fires Confederacy. These traditional territories upon which we live, work, play, and learn are steeped in rich Indigenous history and traditions, and it is with this statement that we declare to honor and respect the past and present connection of Indigenous peoples with this land, its waterways, and resources. Just one item on the agenda I'll point out now, as we've done in the last few meetings when we've had closed session at the tail end. It's just a couple of verbal reports we're receiving tonight. There'll be nothing after that other than our confirming bylaw and adjournment. So if council's okay with it, I propose that we let our deputy clerk go home before we go into closed session, and then that they're just, all that means is there won't be any live streaming when we come back to do the final confirming bylaw, but it'll give Alice a half an hour probably head start to get home. So, all right, any disclosures of pecuniary interest tonight? No, okay. All right, so our meetings from the January 26th, 2026 meeting that were included in the package. I can have a mover and seconder to approve those. Councilor Wagner, seconded by Councilor Sample. Discussion. Favor? Carried. All right, public question period. Questions?
Good evening.
How are you, sir?
Mr. Mayor and Council. Just related to some follow-up question, Mr. Mayor, related to the community center and information we get. And you asked us to identify a couple of places. And we go ahead and we see some places like the field park and the land of the community center there. Also, we identify the school property, old school. And we in discussion with the school, about it, and would like to know if your property is not available, the land the city owned and the school board approved their land, if you would be working into partnership with the school board. Are the member, our council are willing to work with the school board in order to get that dream and reality on board?
So I actually responded to an email from Junior Brown today and directed him to one of our two Dufferin school board trustees as a bit of a starting point. But I think the short answer for this council, unless anybody else objects, I mean, we're always prepared to work with the school board. But if it's school board owned land, that's where the discussion has to start.
Yes, but we first, before we want, what we're trying to say, before we go there, we'd like to get the land from you guys first, from the city.
We don't have it.
The property you own there. Remember,
We don't have land. That's the issue.
remember last time we discussed the community center, is the town of Shelburne own that property?
Like the
Senator
CDRD?
Dufferin? Yeah.
Yeah,
That-
that
I thought you were talking about new vacant land.
Now, and Fiddler Park, is the town of Shelburne own that lot?
We own that, and
Yes.
as you'll see in the Fiddle Park master plan,
Yes.
there's already plans for that park. So there isn't vacant available space that could be used for something else. That's already been earmarked and dealt with.
So don't space in that, and no space then, what about, we look at it, we go over there, over by the industrial, over the community center, we identify that property there. And that's a property, I think you said the agriculture.
The property beside it is owned
Yes.
by the Agricultural Society. Yeah.
Not the town.
And the last time we spoke, you said you will have a discussion with them, and did you follow up for that?
No, I invited you to have a discussion with the Agricultural Society because they own the land.
Did you, that was not the idea we get from that meeting. We thought you said we'll have a discussion and get back to us.
I'm happy to make an introduction, but this, at that point, you had said you guys had wanted to come up with some plans and some
Yeah.
visions. I don't have those plans and visions. So I'm happy to make the introduction to the Ag Society if you'd like to go and talk, just as I did with the school board. But the town doesn't own either the ag lands or school board lands.
Yeah.
So all we can do at this point is make introductions, have those conversations. If something comes of that, as I say, you know, we're always happy to work with other partners in the community.
Because we, right now, we're in discussion and we're bringing up a proposal, what we're gonna report to you. We've been talking to a lot of different people to get that proposal on board, you know what I mean, and then bring it forward to you. So we just wanna come up here and some follow-up questions, what related and how the city is willing to work in order for that. There can't be one entity to deal with it. Need everybody to be on board in order to get that reality and board. You know, because as you know, the community is growing and it's very essential that we have something like that for the youth in the community. So in our plan, we have to vision the youth.
Have you been to the Center Dufferin Recreational Complex?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been there, we're over there, we take a walk through there, all of us, and we see that's not a place that we think that could be working. You know, we think you can expand on that place. And the property there, we can talk and have a discussion with the agricultural people, that the viable place, that would be the ideal place for that community center. That should be the heart of the city. You know, and easy access to everything. You know?
And there's already a facility there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to expand on it, you know, so as soon as we get that done, we're gonna come forth again to you guys to see. And the follow-up meeting with Sylvia Jones. Did you have a discussion with her and ask, we did ask you if you could speak with her and let her know, we tried to get in touch with her. We've been trying a couple of times, unsuccessful, we sent a lot of email, a lot of follow-up call, and no response back. And
I'd mentioned in the email to Mr. Brown today that if you have a proposal ready that you would like to pitch to the MPP, I'm happy to try to coordinate a meeting. Yeah.
So for the question, should we avoid the locations that are shown? Because two of the locations were owned by the city, two were.
Yeah, I would take out any municipal owned lands because we just don't have any.
But then we speak to the agricultural society, may relocate. That's something.
Yeah.
City locations.
I think you gentlemen were copied on the email as well. There were 4 or 5 email addresses that Junior had CC'd, so check your email. Okay,
Yes.
I can include the one for the Ag Society as well with the contact. Do you happen to know, do they meet through the winter regularly? Okay.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
I think it's the first Tuesday of every month. We have our AGM actually on Friday.
Okay, so I can give you that contact.
And as far as more development in the city, the development funds that the city does get for recreation. That obviously, such.
As part of a future DC study, that's potentially something we could look at, yeah. I mean, there hasn't been much development in the past couple of years because of our wastewater capacity issue.
Right. But yeah, definitely you want
Yeah.
wastewater, sure.
Yeah.
But, more building comes more. Go back.
Okay, excellent.
So one last thing, Mr. Mayor, we did follow up with Alethea, and she was wondering if we did have a talk with that, yes, so just let you know that, okay,
Good.
so.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
I have a quick question,
Sure.
very fast, in regards to the RFP plans,
For,
the RFP for the technical services. This year, we were wondering, on it. I just had 2 questions. One, the winning bid, I just wanted to make sure that they accounted for a full soil replacement, all of the. That was one of the things in the bid, so I'm not sure that was pointed out there.
I'd suggest that you follow up with the staff that are leading that very specific question regarding it.
Okay.
Jim?
It was included in it. The RFP did close Friday. We have to review it and we should be back to everybody.
Okay. And the other one was just that hopefully there was, I know we weren't the cheapest, but we did have some extra considerations for the town programs we're involving the Horticultural Society, Strings, and Food Banks working through our plantail and sort of our operations. We have a way to work a little bit of service back to those. So hopefully in the future that as well. We're very focused, community oriented, and the attention to detail seems to be part of that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? That's it. All right, no presentations tonight, but we do have two proclamations. Nobody's joining us for Congenital Heart Defects Awareness Day. Okay. Yeah, and yeah, the reason I asked, we had 3 kids, I think, for a number of years who had come out, who had been born with congenital heart defects. And it was always actually one of my favorite meetings to sort of see these kids growing up. But as the clerk says, they're probably grown beyond that, where they want to come out in public and spend a Monday evening here. So in any event, we will still proclaim the day. So whereas 1 in 70 newborns in Ontario are born with the type of congenital heart defect, PHD, making it the #1 birth defect and cause of death from a birth defect. There are 35 known types of congenital heart defects. Many babies will undergo unimaginable interventions in the first few hours of their lives due to CHD. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Wade Mills, on behalf of Council, do hereby proclaim February 14th, 2026 as Congenital Heart Defects Awareness Day and encourage everyone to learn more about CHD and what you can do to help. And the second proclamation is for the National Anti-Human Trafficking Awareness Day, which is February 22nd. Whereas National Human Trafficking Awareness Day was established on February 22nd, 2007 in the House of Commons to encourage Canadians to raise awareness of the magnitude of modern day slavery in Canada and abroad and to take steps to combat human trafficking. And whereas between 2009 and 2018, the police reported 1,708 incidents of human trafficking in Canada. And whereas between 2018 and 2019, Dufferin Child Victim Services were made aware of 22 victims of human trafficking, with 7 being youth under the age of 18. And whereas CryNot.ca, which stands for Compass Rotary Youth No Trafficking, is a volunteer-driven group comprised of the Rotary Club of Orangeville and Compass Community Church to raise awareness to the concern of human trafficking in the Dufferin-Caledon community. And whereas the mission of CryNot is to reduce and eliminate human trafficking by raising awareness, fostering collaboration among groups, like groups and organizations, equipping adults with connections and resources available to defeat the threat of human trafficking and to create and maintain digital information. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Wade Mills, on behalf of Council, do hereby proclaim February 22nd, 2026 as National Anti-Human Trafficking Awareness Day in the town of Shelburne. Council inquiries. Jim, I did just want to give a shout out to your team. I know we talked 2 weeks ago here about trying to get some banks removed. And when you look around town, I mean, it's, yeah, what's been accomplished in 2 weeks is nothing short of remarkable. So thanks for the efforts, and hopefully everybody's finding it a little easier to pile snow at the end of the driveway. We have had a bit of a reprieve in the last 2 weeks, it seems, but when we do get more snow, which I'm sure we'll likely get, there's at least room, I think, at the end of most driveways now to pile some of that. So thanks again. Councilor Donato.
And I also want to thank through you staff for cleaning up in front of the fire hydrants. That really is a good thing now. A lot of them have been opened up again, and I appreciate that. Hopefully they'll stay open for the next little while.
Good. All right, on to the first report. So it's a report from our Director of Legislative Services regarding the 2026 municipal election update.
Thank you. To your worship, this report is providing council with a high-level update on preparations for the 2026 municipal election and is intended to provide general information relating to key legislative dates, voting technology, upcoming election-related activities. Voting day for the 2026 municipal election is Monday, October 26th. At the April 28th, 2025 council meeting, council approved the use of telephone and internet loading for this year's election. Planning and work is already underway for departments. Some key dates to overview. Candidate nomination forms can be submitted as of May 1st. Nomination day, which is the last day to file nomination forms, is Friday, August 21st. Nominations close at 2 p.m. Friday, August 21st is also the last day to withdraw nomination papers by 2. Voting will open and commence on Friday, October 16th, using internet and telephone voting, and will remain open until 8 p.m. on voting on October 6th. A reminder that this method of voting indicates voting can take place anywhere, anytime, as long as the voter has an interest. We're considering offering to advance polls, possibly for October 17th and October 4th, in addition to staying late a few evenings to assist those that may need some extra. We'll also have a roving poll that goes out to Canadian care homes to accommodate the seniors that are unable abilities to vote on voting day. So election signs can start to be installed as of September 28th. Signs must be removed by 12:01 a.m. on October. The new term of council begins November 15th. The inaugural meeting scheduled for November 30th reports the procedural bylaw. The last council meeting for this term of council is Monday, October 5th. We have partnered with surrounding different municipalities to host some joint candidate information sessions. So for those that are thinking of throwing their hat in the ring for this year's election, these candidate sessions will offer some information on what to expect as a newly elected council member. So there is an evening session scheduled for Wednesday, May 6th from 7 till 9 at Menora Park Pavilion in the town of Mona. There's also a day session scheduled during the day from 10 till 12 and to 12 p.m. On Thursday, May 7th at the CBRC. Sessions are optional but strongly encouraged for anyone considering submitting nomination. So there is a mandatory council orientation session Thursday, November 19th. This is for all newly elected members of council, an all-day session and business. Staff are currently in the process of preparing an election procedures guide and a municipal election accessibility plan and a candidate package. The Administrative Municipal Affairs and Housing is also developing updated candidates and voters guide, which will be incorporated into our local election material. All election-related information will be available on the town's website via an election information page, which is expected to go live. An election reserve fund has been established. It's been established for many years. 1,500 is usually transferred over to the election reserve during each budget process. But there are sufficient funds to cover the operation of. So in summary, this report is intended to keep council informed of key milestones and ongoing preparations for the election. Staff will continue to bring forward additional reports as required under the Municipal Election Act. That's my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions? No. Okay. All right. Can I have a motion then to receive that report? Councilor Bernardo, second by Councilor Gashardi. All in favor? Carries. All right, next is a bylaw which authorizes council to enter into an agreement with the Minister of Transportation for the pothole prevention and repair program. Does anybody want to speak to that briefly? Sounds very exciting.
It's an opportunity that forward late last fall, and we applied and were successful. The grant is up to $83,000.
Worthwhile.
That's great.
Good.
Yay, and approval. It's so nice to see yes instead of no.
All right, can I have a motion to authorize that by Councillor Fegan, seconded by Councillor Benado? Favor? Carried. All right, and the next one is another bylaw authorizing council to execute an agreement with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing regarding the Municipal Ice Storm Assistance Program. Want to speak to that one briefly, Terry?
Thank you. And this one, same thing, it came forward late fall with respect to the ice storm that happened last March. And we applied and are eligible to receive up to $80,000. There is a bit of a formula that they built into this grant that relates to your tax, the percentage of your tax base. Cannot exceed that, 80,000, not close. So we were over budget more than $80,000 because of that ice storm. So we should be eligible for the majority of that. Great.
Good. All right, any questions on that one? No questions. Councillor Sample, move it, okay. Seconder. Councillor Wagner. In favor? Carried. All right, any notices of motion? Okay, communications. There jumps out to anybody? Councillor Fisher?
Yeah, just number 3, just for information and possible action after the fact, reading through that, the rural homelessness is up 31%, which is concerning. And 42 out of 47 communities have reported encampments. And year over year, homeless increase from 2024 to 2025 is up 8% overall. So those are concerns that we should be pushing provincial and federal to help out with. I know they had contributed, but it's always good to keep asking.
Yeah, and the county is really sort of taking a lead on that file as well, which I think is helpful. Sort of a larger voice at the upper tier level to speak on behalf of all of us. So yeah, definitely on our radar, county. Else. Number 5, which was the good news story. Like,
So in case of yeses, the town has made numerous applications for funding. Council has had a number of presentations over the years on the status of that plan. There were 2 or 3 scenarios that we had outlined to last month, 2021, where the ideal situation was an expansion with budget of 50 million expansion. We'd apply for 35 million. The alternative was that we would look at if growth could be sustained or funded, remediation of the plant to meet the ministry's requirements with respect to health and safety. So as we always do, we apply for anything and everything that we are eligible for. We were successful in achieving the mediation grant at 12.5 million. Minister Jones announced that a week ago on Facebook. And while there's been no formal check presentation of any kind to date, it's wonderful news with this for us in terms of getting those repairs completed. So that was really what this press release was about. When that work starts is still to be determined, but it's something that will be expediting.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, can I have a motion then to receive the remaining items as information? Sample. Vegan. All in favor? Carried. All right, so that brings us to closed session. So motion is be it resolved that as per section 239 sub 2 of the Municipal Act, subsections B and H, Council enters into closed session to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board by Canada, a province or territory, or a crown agency of any of them. And mover and seconder to move into closed session. Mr. Donato, seconded by Council Fegan. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, so as I mentioned initially, anybody who's here in person, more than happy to stick around and come back in. After we be back into open session, it literally will just be a confirming bylaw and adjourn. So we are going to let our deputy clerk go home so that you can get a head start on her drive, and there won't be any live streaming that takes place afterwards.